Right now, we're standing in probably one of the most culturally significant and sacred spots in the world. Congo Square, here in New Orleans, Louisiana. Treme, which is the first black neighborhood in the United States, my home. And behind us is where, during the time of America's original sin of racism, which led to the sin of slavery, the enslaved ancestors would gather on Sundays. Because of the law of the time, people were not supposed to work on Sundays. So when owners would go into the French Quarter, the enslaved ancestors would gather behind me in the sacred spot where I'm pointing. And during that place and during that time, the Africans, the Caribbeans, the free people of color, the indigenous Americans would gather and share their cultures. So the drum beats that you would hear, the tambourines and bells that you would hear, even in the introduction of brass instruments, created the cultural gift that we have today called jazz music. But also in that space, the intermingling of the cultures, they saw the shared oppression that they endured. And during those periods, communication was had between the indigenous and the enslaved Africans. And if the enslaved Africans would escape, they would go to the bayous, and the indigenous Americans that were there would give them safe passage. And thus this culture is honored with the black masking Indian cultures that I'm a part of today. As you see the monument to one of the big chiefs, Big Chief Tootie Montana, behind me. And we call ourselves, some people call us the Mardi Gras Indians, and we come out Mardi Gras Day with these new suits on Carnival. But to understand that piece, we have to understand that there is goodness in every piece and every space that we're in. You see, in our Catholic faith, when we talk about evangelization, going out into the world and spreading the message of Christ, we must understand that when we go in a space, we are not there to save anyone. We are not there to fix anyone. When we used to do door-to-door evangelization with St. Peter Claver Church, we would go into the space knowing that when we go to someone's door, we are there to encounter the Christ that's already there. So when we talk about multicultural ministry, when we talk about going into spaces that we may not normally be, in our prisons, where I do prison ministry as well, to the people on the fringes, as Pope Francis says, those on the peripheries, we are called to remember that when we go into a space, Christ is already there. We may not recognize him because of the Christ that we're used to in our own understanding, but if we truly believe that we are all made in the image and likeness of God, so too we see God's image in other people. During this Advent season, when we look at Christ coming down in human form, he was coming to understand us and be one with us so that we could be right with him. So search in your hearts how you can create space in the people around you to see Christ in those that may be different from you. Amen.